Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551. Excuse me. And I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at Bandai Namco's new entries in the Tales series, Tales of Arise for the Xbox Series X and S. I'm basing this off of my time with the Xbox Series S version, though. It is worth pointing out that Tales of Arise is also available on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage or anything like that, I'll have a link down in the description down below, or you can click on the card that will appear up on this video, assuming you watch this on YouTube. And for parents out there, though, it is worth pointing out, Tales of Arise is rated T for teens, ages 13 and up, by the ESRB, though. Now, the Tales series is sort of a series that I've started to get more and more into, though. While it may not be on the... Well, I won't look at it on the same level as, say, what Square Enix's Final Fantasy, though. It certainly has its audiences nevertheless, though. And it was really interesting to hear when Bandai Namco announced a next entry into the series called Tales of Arise, though. Especially considering the same folks who did that released the, earlier this year, enjoyable Scarlet Nexus and all. Well, after spending some time with it, based on my time on the Xbox Series S, I honestly have to say that this is definitely a game I would seriously recommend for not only Tales fans, but for maybe RPG fans, though, regardless of what your system is, or your main system of choice would be, though. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start off with the pros. And the first one has to do with how the game runs. And for my time with it, based off the Series S version, though, it runs very well, though. For what I understand, though, you do have two modes, an FPS mode or a graphic mode. For the Series S, though, it runs at 1080p, 60 frames per second in FPS mode, while it runs at 1440p, 45 seconds in graphic mode. Now, I haven't checked this mode out, or basically I haven't checked this out, though, and honestly, for an RPG, generally speaking, to me, I'm not bothered whether the game has a higher frame rate or not, though, but that also depends on what type of the RPGs are. Some are turn-based and some are more action-based, and in case of Tales of Arise, this one is a bit more action-based, so it's understandable to have it run at 60 frames per second compared to, like, say, a turn-based where I'm not bothered if it runs at 60 or 30, though, but based on the way the combat is set up in Tales of Arise, having it run in 60 frames per second isn't bad. So great that they have a graphic option. Obviously, it's not going to look, visually it won't look as good as, say, like what you see on like the PS5 or a PC, or the PC version, or if you have it turned up in graphical mode. But like I said, for me, if I have to choose between having a higher resolution or higher frame rate, I'm obviously going to go with the higher frame rate over the higher resolution. And the fact that I really don't see Tales of Arise as a graphically demanding game compared to, say, something like Doom or Doom Eternal or Wolfenstein or Witcher 3 or those type of games, to be exact, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is the music and voice acting in the story. And I will say the story I really do enjoy in this game. I like the whole idea between the conflict between the Renans and the Denas and all, and basically the Denan world being suppressed, though, or enslaved for over like 3 centuries and all. And I love the voice acting and the cast of characters, though. Some of it may come off as a bit cliche, what you would see in animes and all, but the story is very well written, though. To me, it's as close as being as good as, say, the original Valkyrie Chronicles that was released back on the PS3, and then released on the PS4, and then made the way over to PC, and then over to the Nintendo Switch. So I really definitely enjoyed the story, and the music in the game is really, really good. To me, that's really the highlight of Tales of Arise in terms of voice acting, story, and all. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the story, but the music is really well done in this game. So I really think that's the big highlight for me. And last but not least is the combat. And to me, the combat is enjoyable, and I found it to be simple too. Basically, every time you go into battle, though, you basically can move your character around and all, and basically you have you have moves and so forth. So you have your main attack, which is done by clicking on the RB button, and then X Y, and B, if I'm saying this correctly, all have like your certain special moves. Each time you use a special move, there's a bar above your health bar that goes down. I think those are their CP points, and so you have to wait for them to recharge before you can use them again, though. And as you go into combat, though, you can also dodge and all, and you can also switch to different characters. Like, some characters may work best against certain enemies. Like, for example, Law, one of the characters you'll meet, basically works best against, like, armor characters and all, while Chiron and Rinro might work best against maybe, like, say, like, flying characters and all. So you definitely have to switch between certain characters nevertheless. But the combat, I feel, has been done extremely well in this game. You also have special moves too, and on top of that, even if your character's not in during the combat or anything like that, even if you can switch them in and out, they still level up nevertheless. So I certainly think that does help a little bit with the grinding a little bit into the game, though. But in either way, though, the combat I found to be enjoyable, and I found, at least for me, I found it to be simple as well, and I certainly think that is a good thing nevertheless, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the con. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be back, though. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my video review of Tales of Arise for the Xbox Series X and S, based off the Series S version to be exact. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there are really only 2 cons I could think of based on my time with Tales of Arise, though. The first one has to do with the combat. Now, as I mentioned before, I thought the combat was enjoyable and simple, and I still stand behind that, though. It is a very much, I found it to be easy to use and understand, and probably an enjoyable part of Tales of Arise. But at the same time, the combat can be a bit chaotic at some moments, though. Sometimes there's so much going on the screen, it can be a little difficult to figure out what is going on, though. Mostly because you have all these characters doing special moves or certain things like that, or multiple enemies can cover up the battlefield in a way. So there are times when it can be somewhat chaotic, though. Does this make the game unplayable or unenjoyable? No, it doesn't. I mean, it's a minor con. It's not really a huge deal, to be exact, though. I've dealt with games like this before, whether it's Swords or Arts Online like Halo Resolution or the Xenoblade Chronicles series, though. So it can be a little bit chaotic, though, but it doesn't ruin the experience or anything like that. It's just, sometimes this is just one feature that can be a little annoying here and now and then and all. The last thing I do want to point out is that during my time with on the Xbox Series S, though, while the game, visually speaking, looks good, though, there are times when I see some pop-ins, though, and sometimes the draw distance isn't exactly as impressive or anything like that. Now, granted, this isn't a graphically demanding game, though. Obviously, it's not like a visual showcase like, say, the games that I've mentioned before, like Doom or Wolfenstein or anything like that, though. The game definitely has its sort of anime art style and all, and that certainly isn't a bad thing. Still, it is a little annoying to see some pop-ins like here and there. I can't speak for how it is on Xbox Series X or PS5 or the PC or even the PS4 or Xbox One version, though. I can only base this off of my time on the Series S version, so, but again, not really a high con. It doesn't really ruin the experience or anything like that. It's just annoying to see, though. That's all. Overall, though, I would say Tales of Arise, I think, is a must-own, regardless of what your system of choice is, though. At its best, though, the music and voice acting in the game is really good, music being the best part. The story is definitely enjoyable. I love the story in the game, though. The combat is simple and enjoyable, though. It's definitely another highlight for this game, though. And the game runs very well on the Xbox Series S, though. Granted, visually, it may not be as impressive as what you see on Series X or PS5 or PC via Steam though, but it still looks good nevertheless, and having it run at 60 frames per second is certainly a plus indeed though. At its worst though, sometimes the combat can get chaotic every now and then though, and that might be annoying for some folks though, but nothing that really ruins the game though. And based off the time I've been playing it on the Series S though, there are some pop-ins here and there that I see, but again, nothing on the level that would ruin the experience or anything like that though. It is definitely a fun JRPG to have in your library though. It's definitely one I would recommend regardless of what your main system of choice may be, whether it's a Series X or Series S or PS4, PS5, Xbox One, or PC via Steam. It is worth, I would definitely recommend this game, especially for fans of the Tales series and fans for RPGs in general though. Here's hoping to see more entries in the Tales series from Bandai Namco though. I wouldn't mind a brand new Tales game if they were to announce one, but I certainly would be open if they did like a actual sequel to Tales of Arise. That would be certainly neat if they ever do something like that. And honestly, I know this might be a stretch for some people. I wouldn't mind if they bring another Tales game over to say like the Nintendo Switch. That would certainly be great. And while I certainly would be open to them porting some of their old Tales games over to the Nintendo Switch, I wouldn't be against if, say, like Bandai Namco were to say, create a brand new Tales game specifically for the Nintendo Switch in mind. Similar to what Capcom did with Monster Hunter Rise. That one developed for the Nintendo Switch in mind, though that game is going to be coming to the PC, but nevertheless, they did develop it within mind of the Nintendo Switch. So if they were to make a Tales game and take the approach similar to what Capcom did with Monster Hunter Rise, I certainly would be open to that. A Tales game design custom made for the Nintendo Switch in mind. But in either case though, putting that aside though, Tales of Arise is definitely a recommendation, like I said, for those who are fans of the series, those who are starting to get into the Tales series, and those who are fans of JRPGs in general. It's definitely, in my opinion, a must-own, regardless of what your main system of choice may be, though. Okay, this concludes my video review of Tales of Arise for the Xbox Series X and S, like I said, based off the Series S version. Excuse me. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Tales of Arise? Have you picked up the game though? And if so, which version did you pick up though? Do you think the game is really good and all? Do you think that Bandai Namco should, with the next Tales game, improve upon maybe some areas of Tales of Arise you may or may not like though? Do you think Tales of Arise should come to the Nintendo Switch, or do you think Bandai Namco should just develop one specifically for the Switch in mind, similar to what Capcom did with Monster Hunter Rise and all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description down below, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!